A centuries-old tradition stands on the verge of transformation. Imagine the Vatican for the first time in modern memory, elevating a person of color to the papacy, a move that would send shockwaves through the Catholic world and beyond. This isn't just about breaking barriers, it's about redefining what leadership, faith, and unity mean for 4 billion believers. The eyes of the world are fixed on Rome, and what happens next could forever change the face of global religion. Each cardinal is both an individual and a representative, a bridge between his homeland and the universal church. For many, the idea of a pope of color is both thrilling and overdue. The church of today is truly global. In the Philippines, Catholicism is woven into the fabric of daily life, a source of strength and identity for millions. In Africa, the faith grows with a vibrancy and enthusiasm that recalls the earliest days of Christianity. Should the Conclave choose one of these African cardinals, the symbolism would be immediate and powerful. For the first time in centuries, the face of the papacy would reflect the diversity of the global church. The election would affirm the church's universality and its willingness to embrace the gifts and perspectives of all its people, regardless of geography or heritage. In Africa, the impact would be seismic. Faithful young and old would see themselves represented at the highest level of their faith. Priests, nuns, and laypeople who have long felt distant from the Vatican's corridors of power would find new energy and purpose. The message would be clear. The church belongs to all, and its future is being shaped by voices from every continent. The new African pope would also bring to the papacy a unique perspective on some of the most pressing issues facing the church and the world. Having witnessed poverty, conflict, and the challenges of development firsthand, he would be well positioned to speak credibly on matters of social justice, migration, and the dignity of every human person. His leadership could inspire greater solidarity with the poor and marginalized, not only in Africa, but everywhere that the church serves. On the global stage, an African pope would challenge stereotypes and break down barriers. The world would see, perhaps for the first time, a pope whose story resonates with the struggles and hopes of the global South. This would not only reshape perceptions of Africa, but also invite the entire church to a deeper conversion, a turning towards the peripheries, to those places where faith is lived with courage and joy amid adversity. Of course, challenges would remain. The new pope would inherit a church facing internal divisions, ongoing abuse scandals, and the need for reform in its governance and finances. He would need to navigate the complexities of the Vatican bureaucracy and unite a diverse flock. Yet the experience of overcoming adversity in Africa could serve as a source of strength and wisdom, helping the new pope to lead with humility, compassion, and resolve. For many, the election of an African pope would also be a moment of healing. It would be a sign that the church is willing to confront its colonial past and move forward with a renewed commitment to justice and reconciliation. It would affirm the dignity and worth of every person, regardless of race or background, and offer a powerful witness to the world of what true unity in diversity can look like. As the new pope steps onto the balcony of St. Peter's, the War LD would watch with awe and hope. His first words, spoken in French, English, Swahili, or perhaps his native tongue, would carry the weight of history and the promise of a new beginning. Bells would ring out across Africa, and the faithful would celebrate with song, dance, and prayer. The Catholic Church, ancient and ever new, would enter a new chapter 1, marked by courage, inclusion, and the conviction that the Spirit moves where it wills, calling forth leaders from every nation and people. The Conclave of 2025 would be remembered not just for the man chosen, but for what he represents, a church that is truly global, truly united, and ready to walk forward together in faith, hope, and love. Part 9. The challenges ahead. The bells have rung, the crowds have cheered, and the world has witnessed history. Whether the new pope is Cardinal Tagle from Asia or a pioneering leader from Africa, his election marks a turning point for the Catholic Church. Yet as the initial wave of joy and hope settles, the enormity of the challenges facing the new pontiff comes sharply into focus. First and foremost is the challenge of unity. The Catholic Church is a tapestry woven from countless cultures, languages, and traditions. In recent decades, tensions have simmered between progressive and conservative factions. Some yearn for bold reforms, greater inclusion, and a church that speaks to the realities of the modern world. Others fear that change may undermine sacred traditions and the stability of doctrine. The new pope, especially if he is a person of color, will be called to heal these divisions, to listen deeply, and to remind the faithful that the Church's true strength lies in its ability to embrace diversity without sacrificing unity. The wounds of the sexual abuse crisis remain raw. Scandals have shaken the trust of millions and cast a long shadow over the Church's moral authority. The election of a non-European pope would be a powerful acknowledgement of this reality, a sign that the Church is ready to embrace its future as a family of many nations, many cultures, and many colors. Yet the Conclave is also a place of great mystery. No one outside knows what is said, what alliances are formed, what doubts are whispered in the quiet corners of the chapel. The process is both deeply spiritual and profoundly human. The new pope must continue the work of accountability, transparency, and healing. This means supporting survivors, holding abusers, and those who enabled them to account, and ensuring that the Church is a safe place for all, especially the most vulnerable. For a pope from the global south, who may have witnessed suffering and injustice firsthand, this mission takes on a particular urgency and moral clarity. Financial reform is another pressing need. The Vatican's finances have long been a source of controversy and confusion. Recent years have seen efforts to improve transparency and stewardship, but much remains to be done. The new pope will need to ensure that resources are used wisely and ethically in service of the poor and the Church's mission rather than personal or institutional gain. The Church's relationship with the modern world is also at a crossroads. Issues such as climate change, migration, economic inequality, and the rights of women and minorities demand a prophetic response. A pope from Asia or Africa regions where these challenges are lived realities could bring fresh insight and moral authority to the global conversation. His leadership could inspire Catholics and people of all faiths to work together for justice, peace, and the care of creation. Internally, the new pope will face the challenge of Vatican bureaucracy. The Curia, the Church's administrative body, is complex and sometimes resistant to change. Navigating its corridors requires patience, wisdom, and a clear vision. The pope must balance the demands of governance with the pastoral needs of a global flock, ensuring that the Church's structures serve its mission, not the other way around. There will also be challenges of perception and prejudice. While the election of a pope of color is a powerful symbol of inclusion, it may also provoke resistance from those who cling to old biases or fear the unknown. The new pope will need to respond with humility, courage, and a steadfast commitment to the gospel's message of love and equality. His very presence will be a call to conversion, a reminder that the Church is not bound by race, nationality, or the accidents of history, but by the love of Christ. Amid these challenges, there is also immense opportunity. The new pope has the chance to inspire a new generation of Catholics, to build bridges across old divides, and to lead the Church into a future marked by hope, justice, and compassion. His story, whether shaped by the streets of Manila or the villages of Africa, will resonate with millions who have long felt unseen or unheard. You will not walk alone. The prayers of the faithful, The wisdom of his advisors and the guidance of the Holy Spirit will accompany him. The road ahead will not be easy, but it is filled with possibility. The Church, ancient and ever-renewing, stands at the threshold of a new era. The world watches, waits, and hopes. In this moment, the new Pope Tagle, or an African brother, becomes not just a leader, but a sign that the Church is ready to face its challenges, to embrace its diversity, and to walk forward in faith together. Part 10. The Dawn of a New Era. As the sun rises over Rome and the world awakens to the reality of a new pope, a leader from Asia or Africa, a person of color, the Catholic Church stands at the threshold of a new era. The Conclave of 2025 will be remembered not only for the man chosen, but for the message his election sends to every corner of the globe the Church belongs to. All its heart beats in every nation, every culture, every face. The new Pope steps onto the balcony for his first blessing, his presence itself a living homily. His words are gentle, yet resolute, echoing the hope and longing of billions. We are one family. In our diversity, we find our strength. In our unity, we find our witness to the world. The crowd in St. Peter's Square is a tapestry of humanity. Filipino, Ghanaian, Congolese, Italian, American, and more. Each face shining with pride and possibility. In the days and months that follow, the new Pope's actions begin to shape the Church's future. He visits the peripheries, slums in Manila, refugee camps in Africa, forgotten villages in Latin America, reminding all that the gospel is good news for the poor and the marginalized. Each ballot cast is a prayer, but also a choice, a moment of courage, of conscience, of hope. As the hours pass, the world outside continues to turn. News outlets speculate, analysts debate, and the faithful pray. In Manila, crowds gather in churches, lighting candles for Tagle. In Accra, IN, Conakry, in Kinshasa, the faithful dare to hope that for the first time the Pope might look like them, might speak their languages, might understand their struggles. He calls for dialogue, for healing, for justice. He invites the faithful to listen to one another, to walk together, to build bridges where there are walls. The challenges remain daunting. Internal divisions, wounds yet to heal, a world hungry for meaning and hope. But the new Pope's very presence is a sign that the Church is not afraid to change, not afraid to trust the Spirit, not afraid to embrace the world in all its beauty and brokenness. His leadership inspires a new generation of Catholics, young people, who see themselves in him, who believe that faith can move mountains, and that love can cross every boundary. The story of this conclave will be told for generations. It will be remembered as the moment when the Church chose courage over comfort, unity over uniformity, and hope over fear. It will be remembered as the dawn of a new era, a time when the Church, ancient and ever new, opened its arms wider than ever before. And so as the bells of Rome ring out and the world looks to the future, one truth remains. The Catholic Church is a home for all. Its doors are open, its table is set, and its mission is clear: to proclaim the love of Christ to every person, in every place, for all time. If this story moved you, if you believe in a church that welcomes every race and nation, if you dream of a faith that unites rather than divides, join the conversation. Subscribe to our channel. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let your voice be part of this historic moment. Together, let's celebrate the dawn of a new era for the Church and for the world. The conclave is not just about choosing a leader, it is about choosing a direction, a vision, a future. The next Pope will inherit a Church facing immense challenges, declining numbers in the West, scandals, and wounds that have yet to heal, a world that is both more connected and more divided than ever before. but he will also inherit a church filled with promise, a church that is young, diverse, and alive. As night falls over Rome, the cardinals remain in prayer and deliberation. The city is quiet, but the sense of anticipation is electric. Somewhere inside those ancient walls, the future of the Catholic Church is being decided, not just for the faithful of today, but for generations yet to come. The conclave is a veil, a sacred mystery. What happens within its walls will soon shape the destiny of millions, and as the world waits for the smoke to rise, one question lingers in every heart. What happens if the next pope is a person of color? Will the church finally reflect the beautiful diversity of its people? Will a new era of unity and hope begin? The answer hidden for now behind the locked doors of the Sistine Chapel is closer than ever before. Part 2. The Ghosts of History. The Vatican's marble corridors echo with the footsteps of centuries. Every conclave is a dialogue with the past, and this one is no exception. As the cardinals gather beneath the frescoes, they are surrounded not only by their peers, but by the invisible presence of those who came before: popes, saints, martyrs, and the countless faithful who shaped the Church's journey from the dusty roads of Jerusalem to the grandeur of Rome. For almost 2,000 years, the papacy has been synonymous with Europe, from Peter the fisherman of Galilee to the long line of Italian, French, and German successors. The Bishop of Rome has been a figure rooted in Western tradition. The Renaissance popes, with their patronage of the arts and politics, the reformers, the diplomats, the theologians, all have left their mark on the Church and the world. The white cassock, the Latin Mass, the rituals and processions, they all speak of a heritage that is both glorious and at times burdened by the weight of its own history. But the Church has never truly belonged to one continent. In its earliest centuries, Christianity flourished in North Africa and the Middle East. Saints like Augustine of Hippo, Athanasius of Alexandria, and Cyprian of Carthage shaped doctrine and defended the faith. Three early popes, Victor Furrer, Miltiades, and Gelasius Furrer, are believed to have been of African descent, their stories woven into the tapestry of the Church's origins. Yet, as the centuries passed, and the center of power shifted northward, these roots were often forgotten, obscured by the dominance of Europe. The modern era has seen the Church become truly global. Today, more than 2/3 of the world's Catholics live outside Europe. Subscribe now and share your thoughts below. Your voice matters in this turning point for history. Part 1. The Veil of the Conclave. The death of Pope Francis sent ripples across the world, but nowhere did the impact feel heavier than in Rome itself. The city, ancient and eternal, seemed to hold its breath. Pilgrims and tourists alike gathered in hushed clusters around St. Peter's Square, their faces a mosaic of hope, sorrow, and anticipation. In the Philippines, Catholicism is a living faith celebrated in vibrant festivals and quiet daily rituals. In Africa, the Church is young, energetic, and growing faster than anywhere else on earth. Latin America, too, pulses with devotion, its streets filled with processions and prayers. Despite this, the papacy has remained largely European. The election of Pope John Paul II from Poland in 1978 was a seismic shift, breaking the Italian monopoly that had lasted for centuries. Pope Benedict XVI, a German, and Pope Francis, an Argentinian, continued this trend, each bringing their own perspective and priorities. Yet even Pope Francis, the first pope from the Americas, was of Italian heritage, his roots still tied to the Old World. Now in 2025, the possibility of a pope of color is more than a symbol. It is a recognition of where the heart of the Church beats strongest. The faithful in Manila, Lagos, Kinshasa, and Mumbai are not just followers. They are the future. Their voices, Their struggles and their hopes deserve to be heard at the highest level. But history is not easily set aside. The conclave is shaped by tradition, by the unspoken rules and expectations that guide the cardinals' hands. Some worry that a dramatic change might unsettle the delicate balance of the church. Others fear that old prejudices, lingering beneath the surface, might influence the vote. The ghosts of history whisper caution, reminding the electors of the weight of their decision. Yet there are also voices urging courage. The church has always been at its best when it has dared to step into the unknown, to embrace the margins, to trust in the guidance of the Holy Spirit. The Second Vatican Council, convened in the 1960s, was one such moment, a time when the church opened its windows to the world and breathed in the fresh air of renewal. The election of a pope of color would be another such moment, a sign that the church is not afraid to reflect the diversity of its people. Cardinal Tagle, with his gentle wisdom and global outlook, embodies this spirit of renewal. His story is one of bridges between East and West, rich and poor tradition and innovation. He is a son of Asia, but his ministry has touched lives on every continent. His humility, his laughter, his tears, these are the qualities that make him beloved by so many. For Tagle, the church is not a fortress, but a home, a place where all are welcome. The African cardinals, too, carry the hopes of a continent. Cardinal Turkson, with his passion for justice and peace, speaks for those whose voices are often drowned out by the noise of the powerful Cardinal Sarah, with his deep spirituality, reminds the church of the strength that comes from prayer and sacrifice. Cardinal Mbongo, young and dynamic, represents the new generation of African Catholics, confident, hopeful, and ready to lead. The conclave is a crucible where histo, re, and hope are forged together. The cardinals know that their decision will be scrutinized, debated, and remembered for generations. They are not just choosing a leader, they are choosing a future. Will they listen to the ghosts of history, or will they trust in the promise of something new? As the ballots are prepared and the prayers continue, the world waits. In every corner of the globe, from the crowded streets of Manila to the sunlit villages of Ghana, the faithful hold their breath. The conclave is a mystery, but its outcome will shape the church for years to come. The question remains, hovering in the air like the incense that drifts through the Sistine Chapel. What happens if the next pope is a person of color? Will the church finally become the mirror of its people, a tapestry of cultures, languages, and faces, united in faith? Or will the weight of history prove too great a burden to bear? The answer lies in the hands of the cardinals, and in the quiet, persistent whisper, "O F the Holy Spirit." Part 3. Tagle, the bridge builder. In the hush of the Vatican's sacred halls, one name echoes with increasing clarity: Luis Antonio Tagle. For millions, Tagle is not just a cardinal. He is a symbol of hope, humility, and a new vision for the Catholic Church. Born in Manila to a family of Chinese and Filipino heritage, Tagle's very identity embodies the diversity and interconnectedness of the modern church. The Vatican, with its towering dome and centuries-old walls, became on CE again the stage for one of the most mysterious and consequential rituals in all of human history, the Papal Conclave. The word conclave comes from the Latin cum clave, with a key. It is a fitting name for when the cardinals of the Catholic Church gather to elect a new pope. They are literally locked away from the world. His journey from the bustling neighborhoods of the Philippines to the heart of the Vatican is a testament to faith's power to cross every border. Tagle's rise has been nothing short of remarkable. Ordained a priest in 1982, he quickly became known for his intelligence, warmth, and ability to connect with people from all walks of life. His sermons, often delivered with gentle humor and deep emotion, draw crowds not just in Manila, but around the world. When he was appointed Archbishop of Manila in 2011, Many saw in him a shepherd who could speak to the joys and sore woes of ordinary people. His appointment as cardinal by Pope Benedict XVI in 2012 marked him as a leader to watch, a man whose faith was as deep as his compassion. But it was under Pope Francis that Taglia's influence truly blossomed. Francis himself, a pope from outside Europe, recognized in Taglia a kindred spirit, humble, open to dialogue, and passionate about the poor. In 2019, Taglia was appointed prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, one of the Vatican's most important departments. This role placed him at the forefront of the Church's mission to reach out to the world, especially to regions where Catholicism is growing fastest: Asia and Africa. Taglia's leadership style is markedly different from the stern, hierarchical models of the past. He listens before he speaks. He weeps with those who suffer. He laughs with children and comforts the grieving. He is known for his ability to tell stories that touch the heart, weaving together the ancient wisdom of the Church with the everyday experiences of modern life. In an age when many feel alienated from religious institutions, Taglia's approach is refreshingly human and deeply spiritual. For Taglia, the Church is not a fortress to be defended, but a home to be opened. He speaks often of accompaniment, the idea that the Church must walk with people, especially those on the margins. His vision is one of inclusivity, where no one is excluded because of race, background, or circumstance. This message resonates powerfully in a world divided by inequality and suspicion. Taglia's own life, marked by encounters with poverty and hardship, gives him a unique credibility. He knows what it means to be overlooked, to struggle to hope against hope. Yet Taglia is also a man of deep tradition. He loves the rituals and mysteries of the Church, finding in them a source of strength and continuity. He does not seek to discard the past, but to build upon it, drawing from the well of Catholic wisdom to address the challenges of today. This balance between tradition and innovation, between the universal and the particular, makes Taglia a bridge builder in the truest sense. His humility is legendary. Despite his high office, he lives simply, often seen riding public transport or sharing meals with the poor. He avoids the trappings of power, preferring to be known as Brother Tony rather than Your Eminence. This humility is not an act, but the fruit of a life spent in service. It is what draws people to him, what makes them trust him with their stories and their pain. Taglia's vision for the Church is profoundly missionary. He believes that the Church must go out to the peripheries, to the places where people are hurting most. This is not just a matter of geography, but of attitude. For Taglia, the peripheries are wherever people feel abandoned by society, by the Church, even by God. His call is for a Church that listens, that heals, that brings the light of Christ to the darkest corners of the war. Now, critics, of course, remain. Some within the Vatican worry that Taglia's style is too soft, too accommodating. They question whether he has the administrative toughness to handle the immense bureaucracy of the Holy See. Others point to the challenges he faced in Manila, where the Church continues to grapple with issues of poverty, corruption, and abuse. Taglia himself does not claim to have all the answers. He is quick to admit his own limitations, to ask for help, to seek forgiveness when he falls short. But for many, it is precisely this humility that makes Taglia the right leader for this moment. In a Church wounded by scandal and division, his gentleness is a balm. In a world hungry for meaning, his faith is a beacon. In a time of uncertainty, his hope is contagious. As the conclave unfolds, Taglia's name rises again and again. His supporters speak of his ability to unite East and West, to bring together the old and the young, the rich and the poor. They see in him a pope who can speak to the heart of the world, who can remind the Church of its mission to love without limits. The doors of the Sistine Chapel close with a solemn finality, and the outside world is left to wait, to wonder, and to pray. Inside, beneath the gaze of Michelangelo's Last Judgment. 133. Cardinal electors prepare to decide the future of the Church. This conclave, convened on July 7th, 2025, is unlike any in living memory. The Church stands at a crossroads. Taglia's story is not just his own. It is the story of millions who long for a Church that is truly universal, truly compassionate, truly alive. If he is chosen, it will be a sign that the Church is ready to embrace the future, a future where every person, regardless of color or background, can find a home in the heart of Catholicism. The world waits, and Tagle waits with it. In the silence of the Sistine Chapel, as ballots are cast and prayers are whispered, the possibility shimmers: a pope from the Philippines, a bridge between worlds, a shepherd for all. The conclave is still veiled in mystery, but hope is alive, and its name is Tagle. In the days leading up to the conclave, as the world's eyes turn to Rome, the name Luis Antonio. Tagle rises above the rest. For many, Tagle is not only a leading candidate, but a living symbol of what the Catholic Church could become in a new era: open, compassionate, and truly global. Known affectionately as Chito, he is often called the Asian Francis, a testament to his warmth, humility, and deep alignment with the vision of Pope Francis. Tagle's story begins in Manila, where he was born into a family of mixed Filipino and Chinese heritage. His background reflects the rich diversity of the modern Catholic Church, and his life's journey has been marked by a rare ability to connect with people from all walks of life. As a priest, and later as Archbishop of Manila, Tagle became beloved for his infectious smile, approachable style, and genuine concern for the poor and marginalized. His sermons, filled with humor and empathy, drew crowds not only in the Philippines, but around the world. Tagle's pastoral approach is deeply rooted in the idea of accompaniment. He believes the Church must walk alongside all people, especially those on the margins of society. This was evident in his outreach to LGBTQ Catholics in the Philippines, a country known both for its deep Catholic faith and its relative openness to LGBTQ individuals. Tagle has been recognized for his regret over the Church's harsh words toward gay and divorced Catholics, and has quietly supported greater inclusion, reflecting a continuity with Pope Francis's more welcoming stance. Many Filipino Catholics and LGBTQ advocates see in Tagle a leader who would continue to open the doors of the Church wider than ever before. His compassion is not limited to words. In 2014, when members of an LGBTQ Catholic group in Manila asked for spiritual support, Tagle responded personally, sending a priest to minister to them. This act, though simple, spoke volumes to those who had long felt excluded. He follows through on his promises. Said Edwin Valles, a former leader of the group, "I believe he will act similarly if he becomes Pope." Tagle's vision extends beyond social issues. As prefect of the Vatican's dicastery for evangelization, he has played a central role in shaping the Church's global mission, especially in developing regions where Catholicism is growing fastest. He is fluent in several languages and is known for his ability to bridge cultures and generations. When Pope Francis visited the Philippines in 2015, Tagle's leadership helped draw record crowds, including a mass attended by as many as 7 million people. Yet Tagle's path to the papacy is not without obstacles. Critics point to his perceived lack of administrative strength, especially following a Vatican audit that led to the dismissal of the leadership team at Caritas Internationalis, a global Catholic charity where Tagle held a largely symbolic role. Some observers worry that the next pope will need to be a strong manager, able to address the Church's ongoing challenges. Clerical abuse, financial reform, and deep divisions between progressive and conservative factions. Tagle's supporters counter that his strengths lie in his theological depth, pastoral sensitivity, and ability to inspire trust and dialogue. He is widely respected for his international outlook and his experience navigating both the Asian and Vatican contexts. Its heart, once beating strongest in the cathedrals of Europe, now pulses with new life in the bustling cities of Asia and the vibrant parishes of Africa. The faces in the pews have changed, and so too have the faces among the cardinals. For the first time, the possibility of a pope of color is not just a wisp-aired hope, but a real tangible prospect. The world is watching, and the stakes have never felt higher. His critics note that he tends to avoid polarizing debates, preferring instead to focus on unity and listening. If we have already categorized someone as a traditionalist, we might dismiss their views without truly listening. Tagle once said, urging the Church to move beyond labels and engage in genuine dialogue. The Filipino bishops have also defended Tagle's record, especially regarding his response to abuse allegations. They emphasize his advocacy for a church that listens and acts decisively to protect the vulnerable, highlighting his role in establishing guidelines and offices for the protection of minors in the Philippines. They note that since 2020, Tagle's responsibilities have shifted to the Vatican, where he no longer oversees diocesan governance in the Philippines, and that the responsibility for addressing abuse cases rests with local bishops. Despite the controversies and challenges, Tagle's appeal remains strong. He is seen as a candidate who could carry forward the spirit of Pope Francis, emphasizing mercy, inclusion, and a church that reaches out to the peripheries. His election would be historic, the first Filipino, the first modern Asian pope, and a powerful sign that the Church's center of gravity has truly shifted toward the global South. Tagle's humility and simplicity are legendary. He prefers to be called by his nickname, rides in ordinary cars, and shuns the trappings of power. His life is a testament to the idea that true leadership is rooted in service. For many Catholics, especially in Asia and among marginalized groups, Tagle represents hope for a church that is both ancient and new, faithful to tradition, yet open to the future. As the conclave begins, the cardinals weigh not just Tagle's strengths and weaknesses, but the message his election would send to the world. Would a Tagle papacy mean a church more welcoming to all, more attuned to the needs of the poor and the marginalized? Would it inspire a new generation of Catholics, especially in regions where the faith is growing fastest? Or would it face resistance from those who fear change and long for a return to older ways? The answer lies behind the closed doors of the Sistine Chapel. But one thing is certain: if Tagle is chosen, the Catholic Church will take a bold step toward becoming a true home for all its people, regardless of background, orientation, or circumstance. In Tagle, the Church may find not just a bridge builder, but a shepherd for a truly global flock. Part 4: The African Contenders. As the sacred drama of the conclave unfolds within the walls of the Vatican, the world's attention does not rest solely on Asia. Across the vast and vibrant continent of Africa, hope and anticipation swell with every passing hour. The possibility of an African pope is no longer a distant dream, but a tangible reality echoing through cathedrals in Accra, bustling streets in Lagos, and quiet chapels in Kinshasa. In this conclave, several African cardinals stand as living testaments to the Church's growth, resilience, and boundless potential on their continent. Among the most prominent is Cardinal Peter Turkson of Ghana. Turkson's journey is a story of faith forged in humility and tested by responsibility, born to a carpenter and a vegetable seller in Cape Coast, Turkson, rose through the ranks of the Church with a reputation for wisdom, diplomacy, and a deep commitment to social justice. He has served as the head of the Vatican's dicastery for promoting integral human development, where he championed causes of peace, environmental stewardship, and economic justice. Turkson's voice resonates with those who seek a pope attuned to the cries of the poor and the challenges of a rapidly changing world. He is respected for his ability to bridge divides, both within the Church and in the global co-immunity. Cardinal Robert Sarah of Guinea is another name that carries weight and reverence. Sarah's life has been marked by adversity and perseverance. As the cardinals file into the Sistine Chapel, each is cloaked in red, a symbol of their willingness to die for the faith. But beneath the crimson, each man carries his own story, his own prayers, and the hopes of millions who see themselves reflected in his journey. Among them, one name is spoken with particular reverence and curiosity: Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle of the Philippines. Growing up in a small village, he witnessed firsthand the struggles of his people and the transformative power of faith. Sarah is renowned for his deep spirituality, ascetic lifestyle, and unwavering commitment to prayer. He has served as prefect of the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments, where he became a guardian of tradition and liturgical reverence. Sarah's writings and speeches often call the Church back to its spiritual roots, emphasizing silence, contemplation, and fidelity to the gospel. For many, he represents the enduring strength and dignity of African Christianity. Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo of Congo brings a different kind of energy to the conclave. Younger and dynamic, Ambongo has become a leading voice for justice and peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a nation scarred by conflict and poverty. As Archbishop of Kinshasa, Ambongo has stood with his people advocating for human rights, reconciliation, and the dignity of every person. His leadership during times of crisis has earned him respect, both within and beyond the Church. Ambongo's vision is one of hope and renewal, rooted in the belief that the Church must be present wherever people suffer and struggle. The prospect of an African pope is deeply meaningful for Catholics across the continent. For centuries, Africa has been a wellspring of faith, producing saints, scholars, and martyrs who have shaped the Church's history. Yet the papacy has remained distant, its leadership centered in Europe. The election of an African pope would be a powerful affirmation that the Church truly belongs to all its people regardless of geography or heritage. African Catholics speak openly of what such a moment would mean. Having a black pope would revitalize the Christian faith across Africa and reshape perceptions of our continent by demonstrating that someone from Africa can attain this position, says Father Charles Yapi of Ivory Coast. The sense of possibility is palpable. In parishes and seminaries, young people discuss the conclave with excitement, seeing in the African cardinals role models of faith, courage, and leadership. Yet the path to the papacy is never simple. The African contenders face unique challenges within the conclave. The global Church is diverse, and the cardinals must weigh not only the needs of Africa, but those of Catholics in Latin America, Asia, Europe, and beyond. Some worry that an African pope might struggle to navigate the complex bureaucracy of the Vatican or face resistance from those unaccustomed to non-European leadership. Others point to the need for a pope who can unite a Church divided by theological, cultural, and political differences. Despite these challenges, the African cardinals bring gifts that the Church needs now more than ever. Their experience with Pio Verdi, conflict, and resilience has shaped a faith that is both joyful and profound. They understand what it means to hope in darkness, to build community in adversity, and to proclaim the gospel with courage. Their voices remind the Church that its mission is not to retreat from the world, but to engage it to bring light where there is shadow and to stand with the least of these. The conclave, shrouded in prayer and secrecy, is a crucible where these hopes and questions are tested. As the ballots are cast and the Holy Spirit is invoked, the possibility of an African pope remains alive, shimmering like a candle in the darkness. For the faithful in Africa and around the world, this possibility is more than a matter of representation. It is a sign that the Church is ready to embrace its future, to honor its past, and to become at last a true home for all nations and peoples. The world waits, and Africa waits with it. In the silence of the Sistine Chapel, the dreams of a continent are woven into the fabric of the Church's destiny. Whether or not an African cardinal is chosen, their presence at the heart of the conclave is a testament to the vitality and promise of African Catholicism, a promise that will shape the Church for generations to come. Part 5. The Mystery of the Ballot. Inside the Sistine Chapel, the ancient ritual of the papal election unfolds with a solemnity that transcends time. The cardinals, robed in red, take their places beneath the towering frescoes of Michelangelo. Tagle, with his gentle demeanor and infectious humility, has become a symbol for a new kind of church, a church that listens, that welcomes, that heals. But Tagle is not alone. The conclave is a gathering of giants, each representing a different corner of the Catholic world. Cardinal Peter Turkson of Ghana, known for his advocacy of social justice and environmental stewardship, enters with the quiet confidence of a man who has seen both suffering and hope. The air is thick with incense and anticipation. Every movement, every whispered prayer is steeped in centuries of tradition. Here in this sacred space, the future of the Catholic Church is being decided, not by the calculations of politics or the noise of the outside world, but by a process that is both profoundly human and deeply spiritual. The first act is silence. The cardinals gather in prayer, invoking the Holy Spirit to guide their minds and hearts. They recite the ancient oaths of secrecy and fidelity, pledging to put aside personal ambition and seek only the will of God. The doors of the chapel are closed and locked, sealing the electors away from the world. Extra omnes, everyone out but those who will choose the Pope. From this moment, the conclave is a world unto itself, governed by rules as old as the Church itself. The process of voting is deliberate and ritualized. Each cardinal receives a ballot inscribed with the words, "Eligo in summum pontificem," I elect as Supreme Pontiff. In turn, they approach the altar holding their folded ballot high. One by one, they place their votes into a chalice, a gesture that is both an act of faith and a moment of immense personal responsibility. The ballots are collected and counted with great care, overseen by scrutineers chosen from among the cardinals themselves. After each round of voting, the ballots are burned in a special stove, if no candidate receives the required 2/3 majority. A chemical is added to the fire, producing black smoke that billows from the chapel's chimney, a sign to the world that the Church is still discerning. If a pope is chosen, the ballots are burned alone, producing the unmistakable white smoke that signals a decision has been made. The world outside waits, eyes fixed on the chimney, hearts pounding with hope and anxiety. Inside, the atmosphere is charged with both tension and fraternity. The cardinals know that their choice will shape the Church for decades to come. They debate, they pray, they listen to the quiet promptings of conscience. Alliances form and dissolve, not along simple lines of geography or ideology, but through the mysterious workings of faith and discernment. Some support Tagle, drawn to his vision of a church that is open, welcoming, and deeply connected to the realities of the modern world. Others are inspired by the African contenders, whose lives bear witness to faith in the midst of suffering and hope in the face of adversity. The are moments of uncertainty, even doubt. The weight of history presses in. The cardinals are acutely aware that their decision will be scrutinized by the faithful. the media, and the world at large. Yet, in the stillness of the chapel, something deeper is at work. The conclave is not a political contest, but a spiritual journey. Each vote is a prayer, each conversation an act of discernment. As the rounds of voting continue, the possibility of a pope of color remains very real. Taglia's name is spoken with increasing frequency, his supporters quietly building a coalition that spans continents. The African cardinals, too, find their voices growing stronger, their stories resonating with those who long for a church that is truly universal. The debates are passionate but respectful, grounded in a shared love for the church and a desire to serve its people. Outside the world waits for the signal. In Manila, crowds gather in churches, their prayers rising like incense. In Accra, in Kinshasa, in Lagos, the faithful hold their breath, daring to believe that history might be made. News outlets speculate, analysts debate, but no one knows what is happening within the chapel's walls. The conclave remains a mystery, its secrets guarded by the silence of those who serve. The ritual of the ballot is a reminder that the church is both ancient and ever new. The cardinals are not just choosing a leader, they're participating in a sacred drama that has unfolded for centuries. Their decision will echo through time, shaping the lives of millions and the destiny of the church itself. As the final votes are cast and the ballots are counted, the tension reaches its peak. The world outside is silent, waiting for the smoke to rise. Inside, the cardinals bow their heads in prayer, trusting that the Holy Spirit has guided their hands. The mystery of the ballot is complete, and the stage is set for the revelation that will follow. Cardinal Robert Sarah of Guinea, a figure of prayer and discipline, brings with him the wisdom of tradition and the resilience of a continent. Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo of Congo, energetic and charismatic, carries the dreams of a young and rapidly growing African church. The ritual begins with prayer. The cardinals invoke the Holy Spirit, seeking guidance and wisdom. The air inside the chapel is thick with incense and anticipation. Part 6. The world watches. While the cardinals are locked within the Sistine Chapel, the rest of the world holds its collective breath. The conclave is not just a private ritual, it is a global event that captures the imagination of billions. From the bustling streets of Manila to the sunlit squares of Accra, from the skyscrapers of New York to the quiet villages of Latin America, the faithful and the curious alike turn their eyes to Rome. The question on every tongue: who will emerge as the next pope, and what will his face say about the future of the church? In the Philippines, anticipation is electric. Churches overflow with worshipers praying, novenas for Cardinal Tagle. News anchors discuss his life, his humility, and his vision for a more inclusive church. Social media pulses with hashtags and messages of hope. For many Filipinos, the idea of one of their own ascending to the papacy is a source of immense pride and inspiration. It is not just a moment for the church, but for the entire nation. A sign that faith, perseverance, and compassion can carry someone from the streets of Manila to the balcony of St. Peter's. Across Africa, the excitement is palpable, but tinged with realism. In Ghana, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Guinea, Catholic communities gather for vigils, their prayers mingling with the hopes of a continent. Young people debate the merits of Cardinal Turkson, Cardinal Sarah, and Cardinal Ambongo, seeing in them role models who have overcome adversity and now stand on the threshold of history. African bishops and priests speak openly about what an African pope would mean: a validation of Africa's faith, a recognition of its suffering and resilience, and a powerful message that the Church's heart beats in every corner of the globe. In Europe and the Americas, the mood is more complex. Some Catholics welcome the idea of a non-European pope, seeing it as a necessary step toward a truly universal church. Others watch with uncertainty, wondering how a pope from Asia or Africa might reshape the Vatican's priorities and traditions. The media speculate endlessly, analyzing alliances and predicting outcomes, but the truth remains hidden behind the chapel's locked doors. For many, the conclave is a moment of hope, a chance for the church to renew itself, to heal old wounds, and to embrace the diversity of its people. For others, it is a source of anxiety, a reminder that change can be unsettling and that the future is always uncertain. Yet beneath the speculation and debate, there is a deeper longing, a desire for a leader who can unite, inspire, and guide the church through the challenges of the modern world. The symbolism of this conclave is impossible to ignore. The possibility of a pope of color, whether from Asia or Africa, is a powerful statement about the church's identity and mission. It is a sign that the old boundaries are falling away, that the gospel truly belongs to all nations and peoples. It is a reminder that leadership is not about heritage or appearance, but about service, compassion, and faithfulness. As the days pass and the smoke fails to turn white, anticipation grows. Crowds fill St. Peter's Square, their eyes fixed on the chimney above the Sistine Chapel. Journalists broadcast live updates, their voices hushed, as if afraid to disturb the sacred silence within. In homes, schools, and parishes around the world, Catholics gather to watch, to pray, and to hope. The conclave is a mystery, but its impact is universal. It is a moment when the world pauses, when the divisions of race, language, and nation fade before the shared longing for hope and renewal. It is a reminder that in the end, the church is not just an institution, but a family that spans continents, cultures, and centuries. And so the world waits, united in anticipation. The next pope, whoever he may be, will not only inherit the keys of St. Peter, but the hopes and dreams of a global church. The marble floors echo with the footsteps of men who know they are part of something far greater than themselves. Outside, the world waits for the first sign of smoke, black, for inconclusive white, for a decision. The conclave is a world apart, governed by rules that have changed little over the centuries. No phones, no news, no contact with the outside, only prayer, reflection, and the sacred duty to discern the will of God. Whether he is Asian, African, or from elsewhere, his election will be a message to the world that the church is alive, that it belongs to all, and that its future is as bright and diverse as the people who call it home. Part 7. If Tagle is chosen. As the ballots are cast and the world waits in suspense, the possibility grows ever more real. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the humble bridge builder from the Philippines, could soon step onto the balcony of St. Peter's as the next pope. The Sistine Chapel is thick with anticipation. Outside in St. Peter's Square, thousands gather, some with rosaries in hand, others holding Philippine flags, all eyes fixed on the slender chimney above the chapel. The world's media stands by, ready to broadcast history. Inside, the final votes are counted. The required 2/3 majority is reached. A moment of profound silence, then a ripple of emotion among the cardinals. The ballots are burned, and soon white smoke billows into the Roman sky. Bells ring out across the city. The world knows a new pope has been chosen. The announce. Cement is made. Habemus Papam. The name is called Luis Antonio Tagle. For the first time in history, an Asian, a person of color, ascends to the papal throne. The crowd erupts in cheers and tears. In Manila, church bells peal and streets fill with celebration. Across Asia and Africa, hope is rekindled. For many, this is more than a personal victory for Tagle. It is a powerful sign that the Catholic Church truly belongs to all peoples, all nations, all races. Tagle steps forward, his face marked by humility and awe. He bows his head, offering a prayer for unity and peace. His first words are gentle but resolute, echoing the spirit of Pope Francis, a church that listens, that welcomes, that serves the poor and the marginalized. He speaks in several languages, a gesture of inclusion for the global flock. His smile, warm, genuine, infectious, reaches the farthest corners of the world. The symbolism of this moment cannot be overstated. For centuries, the papacy was the domain of Europeans. Now with Tagle, the Church visibly affirms its universality. Filipino Catholics, long a vibrant part of the global Church, see themselves reflected in the highest office. Catholics in Africa, Latin America, and beyond feel a new sense of belonging and possibility. Tagle's election is not just about representation, it is about vision. Known for his compassion, his commitment to dialogue, and his focus on the poor, Tagle signals continuity with the reforms of Pope Francis. He is expected to champion a church that is missionary, open to the world, and unafraid of change. His leadership style, listening, humble, collaborative, offers hope for healing divisions within the church and building bridges across cultures and faiths. Yet challenges await. Tagle inherits a church facing internal tensions, the ongoing wounds of abuse, scandals, and the need for financial and structural reform. His ability to unite diverse factions and inspire trust will be tested, but his story, a son of Asia, AV, voice for the peripheries, a shepherd with the smell of his sheep, gives many confidence that he is the right leader for this historic moment. As Tagle blesses the city and the world, a new era dawns for the Catholic Church. The Conclave of 2025 will be remembered not just for the man chosen, but for what he represents. A church that is truly global, truly inclusive, and ready to walk with all humanity into the future. Part 8. If an African is chosen. As the world's gaze remains fixed on the Vatican, the possibility of an African pope electrifies millions across the globe, in cathedrals from Lagos to Nairobi, in bustling markets and rural chapels. Catholics gather in hopeful anticipation, their prayers echoing a dream long deferred. The election of an African pope would be a moment of profound historical significance, not just for Africa, but for the entire Catholic Church and the world beyond. The leading African contenders: Cardinal Peter Turkson of Ghana, Cardinal Robert Sarah of Guinea, and Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Each bring unique gifts and experiences shaped by their continent's joys and struggles. Their lives are marked by resilience, faith, and a deep commitment to justice and peace. For many African Catholics, these cardinals are not just leaders, but living testaments to the vibrancy and hope that define the Church in Africa today.